Hello everyone and welcome to the second Train Shed Tuesday. For those of you that tuned in last time, which is quite a few thousand people, thank you very much. Not up there with our normal videos, but let's see what happens. So basically, if you've not seen me before, it's just about 10 minutes or so of rambling about various model railway things. Stick with me, I'm going to do a little bit of an update on things I've been doing with my layouts. We had some interesting responses last time about tea drinking, so I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Show you a few layout things. Hopefully people will find it entertaining. It's not about trains running or anything like that. It's just me nattering about what I've been doing model railways and things that are related, and it seemed to go down quite well. We'll start with a little bit of model railway before we get on to important things like cups of tea. So this is my 00 shunting layout, and I've been ballasting, which those of you that know me know it's not something I do very often. And after this, I'm probably not going to do it again. So I'm called this little Train Shed Tuesdays Trials and Tribulations. It's just going to talk about a few things that challenges that we get with model railways. So this track was all fine. It was running fine before I ballasted it. I made sure of that. Once I ballasted it, of course, 2 or 3 places it stopped working, and this is what I've got against ballasting. Now on the plus side, I really like the look of it. So I've done a load of weathering, and I'm it's just dry brushing. Couple of different shades of brown, so I am pleased with the way it looks. I get that, but it's the issues around what you have to do when you finish ballasting. So I've ended up, it didn't work. Doug got his multimeter out, problems with this bit of track. Now as it happened, I gave it a good clean and that was fine. Now this end we had problems here with this join. Cleaning the track didn't work, and in the end it was the old stapler, getting a pair of pin nose pliers and pushing the fish plates in. And obviously what happened is where I'd ballasted, there's probably some of the PVA mix got in there and didn't do a lot for the connection. So that did do it, needed an awful lot of cleaning. But the problem is always the points, and I've just done a video on ballasting points, and I will say, look, straight off, these things are not great, okay? I've got arthritis coming in, and I'm losing some of my fine motor skills. In fact, in my thumb tonight, I'm having trouble moving at all. And my eyesight's okay, but it's not fantastic. It's okay with glasses. So perhaps it's just me. Perhaps I'm just a clumsy, short-sighted old git, and I don't get on. But trying to clean this, I broke that point blade. Let's see if I can zoom in a bit. I broke that point blade, and that's going to mean ripping all of this up. Now, fortunately, Doug was here. He's got slightly better eyesight, and we were able to super glue the blade back in. Now, what we were also able to do is super glue it fractionally further that way, which means that we got a better contact. So with that and some cleaning, the point did work. But, if it hadn't, that's a bugger of a job lifting that point out. And I guess that's where I'm coming to with ballasting. It's fine until you've done it and you've got to clean up. I then decided to weather the track, dry brushed it, a couple of shades of brown. And as I say, I'm going to come off there because I know it got a bit of camera shake. Really pleased with it. But when I'm finished, I had to clean all the track again because it didn't work because I got a paint on. I know people object to me using very fine abrasive blocks, but that's all a track rubber is. And quite frankly, when you've got dried on PVA and paint, I'm really not sure how you're supposed to clean it with a solvent. You can use the blunt edge of a piece of wood. So anyway, we got there, and I will persevere. But it's a slightly frustrating part of it. So let's talk a little bit then about tea. Just to digress off model railways quickly. I have got a mug here. That's one that we were given at the Bluebell Show 2019, which is the last one we did. Sadly, when the organisers changed, who I knew very well, we've never been invited again. And this is my experience when I was a rep. The buyer changes. Sometimes it's a good thing. You get a new buyer and you get into a business you couldn't get into before. And sometimes it's a bad thing because the new buyer wants to sweep clean and all the old suppliers get kicked out. I had it many years ago with a large museum, which I won't mention, but I knew the buyer very well. New buyer came in, wanted to do things differently, blew out all the old suppliers. Didn't end well. So yeah, unfortunately we don't get invited to Bluebell Show anymore. Having once run 2 shows within the Bluebell Show. We did 2 budget model railway shows in the gazebo up on the green as part of the Bluebell Show, which some of you will remember. So having gone from being a fairly major part of the show, we stopped getting invited altogether. Anyway, tea I was going to talk about, because I made the comment about tea and I made a comment about Americans drinking coffee. And quite a few Americans pointed out they drink tea as well. Now, the interesting thing is, of course, in England now, I believe more coffee is drunk than tea, which is why we've got all the coffee bars. Couple of interesting things about tea and coffee. Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong. The UK is one of the few countries that drinks instant coffee. And the reason for that is it was brought over by the Americans during World War II as a way of doing coffee for the troops, instant coffee, because they make proper coffee. Wasn't great, but for the English, it was fantastic. When the Americans went home, they went back home, started making coffee properly. Whole rest of Europe makes coffee properly. The UK stayed making instant coffee. We have European friends that used to come and stay and were amazed that we drink instant coffee and not proper coffee. Now, of course, now we do. There's a lot more coffee shops and we have a coffee machine indoors, but we're still one of the few countries that drinks instant coffee. I'm led to believe. Happy to be corrected. Tea, very briefly, one of my favourite stories. So my late father never drunk tea, although he was of the generation that should have done. And he said it's because of the tea he'd had to drink when he did his national service in the late 1940s. About 15, 17 years ago, I visited the Gurkhas, because I used to sell to the army, at Church Crookham. Wonderful old army place. And they made me Gurkha tea. And Gurkha tea has been in the urn all day. It's like tar. And they don't put milk and sugar in it. They put condensed milk in it, which was the old way of making it. You could stand the spoon up in it. Now, you don't tell the Gurkhas that the tea isn't that great because they walk around with these very sharp knives on them. But I was able to go home, and at that time my father was still alive. Oh, which means it's a lot longer back than I thought it was. Yes, it would be before, 2000, when my father passed away, so it'd be late 90s. I was able to go home and say to my dad, now I know why you don't drink tea anymore. Anyway, we've done tea and coffee. I'm sure lots of people are going to agree or disagree with what I've had to say. We won't probably cover that topic again. But there you go. So we've done ballasting. Yes, it looks great. I really like the look of it. I really don't like the work involved. And it's taken me several weeks to get to that stage of free time. And then I've had some more tribulations, which is this layout. So some of you will remember that this layout, and pan out a bit, was the one that I made to go on my motorbike originally. So it was originally in 2 parts and it went in a top box. That motorbike's gone. I don't have the top box. I thought it'd be nice to have a UK layout, so I joined it together and made it into, if you like, a normal layout. The only trouble is it's electrically dead. So what do? Now let's take the camera off. I'm sorry for the camera shake. So of course I couldn't get in here, so I drilled a big hole in the back so I could get to it, and when I'd finished drilling the hole I found out I wasn't as stupid as I thought I was, because I'd made a lift out section and could have got to it. So I was as stupid as I thought I was, because I forgot I'd done a lift out section. However, having soldered this bit of track, it then turned out that the curve was the problem. So I was able to get in there, get the curve out. The screw is to hold the back of the track down. It's not neat, but you can't see it. Resolder connections. And it is running, but the track needs a damn good clean. Once I've given the track a damn good clean, it'll work quite well. I did toy with ballasting it. I won't be doing that after the other layout. So it'll just be a nice little English layout. I've got a class 14 that runs very nicely. It took me a long while to find one of them at about 50 quid that will run smoothly. I do have a class 35. Big shout out and thanks to the Pevensey Bay Model Railway Club. The guys there have got it running for me. So I'll be able to run a couple of green diesels on it. But all of that really then brings me to Cato. So I've had all the trials and tribulations of the other 2 layouts, ballasting, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, then you come to Cato. I'm just going to go back to the tripod so we don't get too much camera shake. So this is my Cato exhibition layout. And this is the exact opposite. So the track is pre-ballasted. It took me, I don't know, half an hour to lay the track at the most. You click it together and it's done. The points are the Kato point motors. They are not as expensive as they look. Yes, they're 40 odd quid, but if you buy a Pico point, it's very nearly £20. You've got to buy a point motor. You've got to buy a point motor housing. It's no cheaper. 2 wires out of them. You get your son, who's an electronics student, to wire it in to the 2 switches, and they work no trouble at all. The track is ultra reliable. I don't have any problem with it. Doesn't seem to want cleaning much. The locos all run over it. Even locos like that, which is a 264. So it's got 2 pony trucks, and they still run over it beautifully. These are Kato metal wheeled wagons. These are only the cheap ones that come with the pocket line range, painted up. This is all covered in videos if you want to see it. I was out here last night shunting quite happily, no trouble at all. I just use bent paperclip uncoupling hook, a re-railer to put stuff on, and it runs just wonderfully. So when this big board, this big shelf here, is turned into a great big layout, it will be Kato N-Gage track, and it will be a Japanese layout, because the Kato Japanese layouts run so wonderfully, and I've got some wonderful EMUs. So it's one of those things. I would really love to have done a BR green, late black steam loco layout. Yes, everybody makes them. So I'd only be recreating something that pretty much everybody else has made. I found it incredibly difficult to buy them at sensible prices. Well over 70, 80, 90 pounds second hand. 130 plus new. They're not the best runners in my experience. Whereas the Japanese stuff, new loco between 60 and 100 pounds. Second hand loco between 30 or 50. And they run really well. So I'm going to end up doing a big Japanese layout purely because the track, the locos and the rolling stock are so good, so economic and so reliable. Yes, it'll cost me a bit more on track, as I'll probably have to buy that new, but I might be able to get that from Japan and just suck up the import licenses. Everybody tells me, great, buy from Japan. Yeah, every time we bought from Japan, we've got hit with the import duty and the Royal Mail postage. Every single time. So the people that say they haven't, that's great. We have. But my plan is to do what somebody advised me, which is buy it in a job lot. Go and buy £100 worth of track. You'll still get stung, but it's not much spread out and you save a lot. So we will see. It's going to be a long time before I get round to doing that big layout. Despite the tribulations of the 00, I will persevere with that. I'm going to carry on with that. It will be nice to run some of my 00 stuff. I've got some other layouts scattered around, so I can put layouts. This system's going to work really well. So I can store 3 layouts here with the top empty, and whatever I want to run, I can run. The sharp-eyed of you there will see. And yes, I do work in a mess. We did this last time. Works for me, and it works for a lot of people by the sounds of things. I am beginning to tinker with the O gauge down there. And that, once I get a bit more done on the 00, then the O gauge is going to come in. That is old Lima 1970s track. Okay, because it was very cheap. So it's just this stuff. It's the Lima track. By the time it's painted up and ballasted, I will ballast that. It will look fine. It doesn't bother me that it's a big manual point. And I've got some cheap Lima locos and rolling stock. So I can do O gauge for about a quarter of what it would cost to do new. So people are excited about me doing O gauge. How excited they'll be when they find out I'm doing 1970s. Oh, I don't know. Certainly the O gauge people I met at a show recently were less than impressed when I told them I was going to be doing Lima O. Which has made me only even more determined to do a Lima gauge layout. I'm sorry, I'm an awkward sod like that. We discussed last time exhibitions. If somebody shows an interest in what you're doing, it's nice. If you're exhibiting and somebody shows an interest in what you're doing, you would think that people would bounce back. And my experience is that some people don't. And the O gauge people that I spoke to didn't. I have to say the O gauge guy I spoke to at Stenning with a lovely little layout, which has inspired me to do the one at the bottom. He was great. But it's interesting, some of the big layouts, they're too busy on their DCC and their phones working out what to run next. And working out which are their favourite locos to run, and nothing's running on the layout, and they're not talking to anybody. And I'm sorry, but as an old salesman who did loads of trade shows, you should be talking to people. Things should be happening. Trains should be running, and you should be engaging in the public. Sorry if you don't agree with me, but that's just my view. I've been to exhibitions with far too few trains running and far too few people talking and far too many people buggering around on DCC trying to work out what loco to run next. I understand it. Big layouts, it's the only time people have got to take all their toys out and play with them. So they take their entire train collection with them. Yeah, we don't do that. We take a loco that will run all day, and we take a spare. I think I'm taking 4 locos for my Japanese one, but I'll probably run 2. I'm only taking the 10 wagons that I can run on the layout. I'm not taking my entire wagon collection. Apart from anything else, it's the setting up and knocking down if you've got to pack up your entire collection. So there we go, 15 minutes today. Hope you've enjoyed it. A number of people have said, why don't we make longer videos? Because the average video duration for a YouTube video is 30 seconds. And in fact, only 60% of our people are still watching at 30 seconds. And only 40% are still watching at about 2 minutes. So when people say to us, why don't you make quarter of an hour, half hour videos? Because nobody's going to watch them. Now, those of you that are still watching, that's great. Thank you very much. But we are a few. Those of us that watch a whole video, that is the minority. So when I'm doing a lot of the update videos, and I'll do an update video soon on that, about 10 minutes is more than enough. There is no point doing a 30-minute video. Very few people are going to watch it to the end. Yes, I know you get adverts, but the money from the YouTube videos means that I can run lots of projects, which means that I can make lots of videos. Without that, we would have petered out as a channel years ago because we would not have had the funds to keep doing new projects. So whilst I know the adverts are an embuggerance, they are what means I can keep making videos. So there you go. That's the second Train Shed Tuesday. It probably will be a few weeks now before I do another one. Hope you enjoyed the rambling today. Look forward to your comments. Whatever you're doing with your railways, please enjoy it, and we'll speak to you again soon.